Hey everyone, Vicarious Viking here, back with another Binding of Isaac Rebirth update. Tyrone took over this week's update, and it's mostly all about new bomb modifiers you'll find in Rebirth. Before we get to the new ones though, let's take a look back at some of the original bomb upgrades. What you're seeing on screen here is the Mr. Mega upgrade, which makes your bombs visually bigger, gives them a larger blast radius, and makes your bombs do more damage. Also, it gives Isaac a sweet Bomberman looking head, which of course is just Rat's head. And I couldn't help but notice this head no longer shakes back and forth uncontrollably like it does in the original game. Man, that's good news. Real quickly, I just wanted to show you guys the size difference between a regular sized bomb and a Mr. Mega sized bomb, and there you go, they're about twice as big. The enemies on screen here are new to Rebirth, but we have seen them before. They're called ring flies, and they come towards you in a circular rotation, but what I thought was really cool was when any fly gets close enough to any other fly, they start rotating together, and by the end of it, they were all part of the same attack ring formation. Fighting one ring of 8 flies is certainly going to be a lot easier than taking on, say, 4 rings of 2 flies each, but if you ask me, that's kind of a good thing, and it's just interesting AI mechanics nonetheless. Next, we get to see the Bob's Curse item with Mr. Mega, and of course, the Bob's Curse visual overrides Mr. Mega's visual, though it would have been cool to see a green messed up looking face under Rat's helmet. Also, Bob's Curse now makes your body green too, which it didn't do in the original game. Here you can see a Mega Poison Bomb taking out 4 Horfs, which I think is a pretty good showcase of how large the blast radius is on these bombs. Then we have Isaac blowing up some fatties, and they sound neat. I actually think they sound kind of like tigers. But anyway, there goes a room with some fire that looks like it would probably shoot at you, and there is a room with some pennies, and this is Isaac versus Dingle. The clip cuts away early, so you only get to see Dingle get hit with one of these bombs, but you can see the extra damage from Mr. Mega in conjunction with the poison damage from Bob's Curse causes him to lose about 2/5 of his health, which is quite nice. Another thing I noticed is that Dingle poops actual poop, which I don't think is something we've ever seen before. Next, we get to see how homing bombs are going to work in Rebirth. This is from picking up the Bobby Bomb item, which still causes no visual change to Isaac, but you'll see here there is a visual change to the bomb itself. They now have a cool little wind-up key in the back, very much like the bombs from Super Mario Bros. Just add a pair of feet to them and you're good to go. Isaac's going to blow up all of these dips or squirts or whatever they're called, and you can tell that the homing on these are a lot more aggressive this time around. They move towards whatever enemy they target on much faster, which is awesome. That's gonna do it for old bombs. Let's take a look at some new ones. These lovely new exploding piles of shit do a small amount of damage to everything in the room when they go off, and you'll see that small amount of damage was enough to kill all those flies. You may have also noticed the blast fills the room with smoke and tints the whole screen a nice disgusting looking color. Any surviving enemies get the confused status effect applied to them, which you can see here, but as you just also saw, it doesn't seem to last that long at all. Also, I couldn't help but notice Isaac has this weird looking thing on his butt now, whatever that is. This next bomb item is pretty cool. When it goes off, it explodes like normal, as well as doing the Tammy's head effect, shooting out 10 big tears. And you can see here, just one of these bombs was enough to kill Lust instantaneously. She did get hit with 3 of the large tears immediately, which I'm sure played a part in her quick death, as I'm sure these tears do more damage than just, a regular tear that Isaac shoots out of his head. Actually, speaking of that, I just noticed in the next explosion, 2 Gapers get hit by one of the bomb's tears, and they both die immediately, and right after the Gaper Isaac shoots with his own tears, takes a little more than 1 shot to kill. So there you go. Also, let's see that explosion again, in slow motion, because it's really neat. So this bomb item doesn't seem to cause any visual change to Isaac himself, but it does make the bombs cry, which I thought was pretty neat. At first I thought it was just some sparkle effect, but yeah, no, those are totally tears. Here's what happens when you use this bomb with Wiggle Worm. You can see the Wiggle Worm effect is applied to the bomb's tears. So this says to me that any tear modifiers are going to affect the bomb's tears as well, which is crazy. Now, since this item pretty much creates the Tammy's head effect, and using Tammy's head with Brimstone causes 10 lasers to shoot out now, does that mean the same would happen for this bomb? My guess is yes, but we will just have to wait and see. Alright, so this here is the last new bomb item we're going to get to have a look at. As you can see right off the bat, the visual change to Isaac is it engulfs his entire head in flames, which is really neat. You'll see the bomb is on fire too, and when it explodes, it leaves a fire behind, which doesn't appear to do contact damage to Isaac, which is great news, but does do contact damage to enemies, and by the looks of it, a pretty significant amount, as it kills that fatty pretty quickly. You'll see here Tyrone baiting some of these flies into the fire, which is pretty cool. And then he just fucks around in this room with these roundworms until he dies, because he's a scrub. Once again, the amount of time that the fire lasts for is exactly 10 seconds, which is the exact same amount of time that it lasted for with the other new item that creates fire that I made a video on recently. Alright, so the next thing we're going to have a look at is another new boss reveal. This was a hidden video in this week's post, and it's just a quick 12-second video showing the new Mega Fatty, which Tyrone also tweeted a picture of a few days earlier. However, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. First off, the boss himself is just a boss version of the new Fatty. Having a boss version of standard enemies in Isaac has always been a running theme. We get to see an attack where he projectile vomits into the air and then it all rains down a moment later, and you get a really cool shadow effect to telegraph where the shots are going to land. We also get to see a pretty quick jump attack, but the video ends abruptly partway through it. But man, that fatty moves fast for a fat blob. A couple other things to note is that Isaac has the distant admiration fly, who looks much redder this time around, Sister Maggie, and the weird dark gray maggoty looking thing is something we saw very briefly in the gameplay trailer, and it turns out it's a familiar. So neato. Also, take a look at Isaac's tears here. He's actually doing a burst fire attack, which looks to be about 4 tears each time, at least as far as I can tell with this blurry video. So that's gonna do it for gameplay stuff I noticed in this video, but something else I noticed is that I'm pretty darn sure this is being played on an Xbox One. Take a look here and you can see he's definitely using the Xbox One's controller, and you might say, yeah, that doesn't really prove anything, you can just hook those up to a PC, which is true, but he's also playing on a really big TV. Once again, yes, you can hook PCs up to big TVs, but one thing I noticed is right before the video ends, you get to see another little Xbox logo here, and I'm pretty sure this is actually part of the Xbox One. All in all, it's obviously heavily hinting that it's being played on an Xbox One. Recently, Tyrone snuck in some frames of the Wii U menu, and I went ahead and said I think this means Rebirth is coming to Wii U. Now, I'm starting to worry a little bit Tyrone is just fucking with us, but once again, the Binding of Isaac Rebirth is, I'm pretty sure, kind of a big deal in the gaming community. Even though it's not a AAA blockbuster super graphical showcase of a game, the original sold over 2 million copies, which is nothing to sneeze at, and when Rebirth went up for pre-orders, it shot to the top of the Steam bestsellers list for a day or so. So, teasing an upcoming video game running on current generation hardware is not something I think they would do if they weren't releasing it on said current generation hardware, as all that would do is toy with and disappoint people who were hoping to get it for that system, and Edmund and Tyrone and all the guys working on Rebirth aren't stupid and they know that, and I personally don't think they would do something as short-sighted as that. So, I'm going to go ahead and assume that this is coming out for Xbox One as well, but I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not, and if I am, not cool guys. Not cool. Not that it would really matter too much to me either way, because I'm going to get it on PC, but it's just a principle. The last thing I want to mention for this update is Alex Hicks, a huge Isaac fan and very talented guy evidently, created a Rebirth trailer that I will leave a link to in the description. This trailer is really cool. It's so cool in fact that the devs got in contact with him to make some adjustments to it to use it as an official trailer for the game. So expect a new Rebirth trailer soon, and according to Alex, it's much better than the original trailer he created, which is already awesome. So that's going to do it for this update, guys. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I encourage you to go to bindingofisaac.com to read this one for yourself if you haven't already, as I thought it was particularly interesting, and you can read up a bit more on Alex Hicks and the upcoming trailer there. So once again, thanks for watching. My name's Vicarious Viking. You can subscribe to be notified of when I come out with new videos. You guys have a great day, and I will see you later.